So this problem says Jeff and Micah are both paid at a constant rate of dollars per hour. The tables below show Jeff and Micah's total amount earned for working a given amount of time. So part A asks us to find the missing values in the two tables above. So I see some missing values here, I see some missing values here, here, and here. So I am going to have to figure out some multiplication patterns or some addition patterns in this table to figure out what my missing numbers are. So the way that I am going to approach this problem is I am going to try and figure out what we are rolling our numbers by in the table so that I can figure out those missing values. So it looks like for Jeff, he's rolling his 4s. He's rolling 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So I'm going to go ahead and write plus 4, just as a note to myself to remind myself that Jeff's hours are being rolled by 4s. And then it looks like to me 28 to 64 to 96, it looks like the dollars for Jeff are increasing by 36 every time. Plus 36, plus 36. If I wasn't sure how many dollars Jeff was increasing by every time I went up one level in my table, I could just do 64 minus 28 or 96 minus 64 to figure out that difference. So if I know that I have to add 36 every time, then I need to add 36 to 100 to get my missing value in the table. 100 plus 36 gives us 136. And then 136 plus 36 gives us 196. It gives us 196. And scholars, I just noticed something. This packet has a 100 right here. This 100, if we are following the pattern of plus 36, plus 36, plus 36, that 100 should have been the number 124. So I don't know why that is not a 124. I think that the copier printed it wrong. I'm just kidding you. That was Miss Weber's error. I should have caught that before I handed that out to you guys. But anyways, that number should say 124. In which case, I'll go ahead and change that right now. Go ahead and erase this. Erase all of this. I'm going to draw something else. So this number, that should really say 124. So then I need to say 124 plus 36. 124 plus 36 is 160. And then 160 plus 36 is 196. So we find these missing values from the table by adding the same amount every single time. So we talked about that additive property that our ratio tables have. You add the same number every single time to get the next number in our ratio table. So here we're adding 36, we're adding 36, we're adding 36, so that we know we need to just add 36 more to get these missing values. Same thing down here. I noticed that on top, I'm just adding 5 every time. Adding 5, adding 5, adding 5. I'm just rolling my 5s. Down here, it's a little bit more complicated because I have a missing value with my second value. So I need to go to my third and fourth value and say, what do I have to add to this number, 105, to get 140? And I notice that I have to add 35. So I'm adding 35 every single time to get the next value in my table, plus 35. Here I'm adding 35 plus 35. I notice that that pattern is continuous throughout my table, which means that I must have to add 35 to my first value to get my missing value. 35 plus 35 is 70. Then I have to add 35 to this 140 to get my missing value. 140 plus 35 is 175. If you did not know that off the top of your head, feel free to just add with stacking. Feel free to add with stacking to get those missing values. So on part A, I'm just going to put a check mark right here. We did that. We looked at the above table and we made sure that we added our missing values. I will also make sure that you guys each get a copy of the key so you can be following along with the key and following along in this video in case you think that this is challenging to read. Please show Ms. Foster slants when you are done copying this part down. Please raise your hand if you are not done so she knows to pause the video. Moving on to part B, it asks us who makes more per hour and justify our answer. So this is asking us to find the unit rate and compare the unit rate. Anytime you see a question like who makes more per hour, who travels further, which brand offers the better value, anytime you see a comparison question, in order to compare the two ratio values, you have to first find the unit rate of each person and then compare those values. So if I go back up to my table, I notice that Jeff, his initial dollars per hour, I notice that he makes $28 for every 4 hours. I notice that because I'm looking right here at this first column in my table. He makes $28 per 4 hours. So I am going to write his name down so I can keep my name straight. Jeff, Geoff. Jeff makes $28 per 4 hours. Is this in simplest form? Show me yes or no, scholars. No, it is not in simplest form because they both have a factor in common. They both have the factor 4 in common. So I have to divide 28 by 4 and I will get 7. Then I have to divide 4 by 4 and I get 1, which means that I make $7 per 1 hour if I am Jeff. If I am Micah, I have to, again, go to Micah's ratio table, look at the first column in my ratio table, and divide to find my unit rate. I have to look at the first column in my ratio table and divide to find my unit rate. If I am Micah, I will make $35 for 5 hours. $35 for 5 hours. So I go ahead and write that down as a rate, $35 over 5 hours, which I should have written hours right here as well. Is that in simplest form? Show me yes or no, scholars. Show me yes or no. No, that is not in simplest form. They have a common factor of 5. 35 divided by 5 is 7, and 5 divided by 5 is 1. So I have two unit rates here. Jeff's unit rate, Jeff makes $7 per 1 hour, and Micah's unit rate is also $7 per 1 hour. So if I was answering this question, I would say they make the same. I know this because they have the same unit rate. So I'm going to type that, and you can feel free to write that down. Actually, don't just feel free. Actually, write it down. This is not an option. Please write it down. So I'm going to answer this question, and it's going to be somewhat on the side. And I'm going to say they make the same amount. I know this because they have the same unit rate. I'll go ahead and make this a larger size for you. Here we go. And I'll try and move it. I'm able to. They make the same amount. This is the answer to part B. Continuing part B. They make the same amount. I know this because they have the same unit rate. Please show me slant when you have this on your paper. Please raise your hand if you are still not copying this down, so that if you still have not copied this down, so Miss Foster knows to pause the video. Part C asks you to write how much Jeff makes as a rate and what is his unit rate. So up here, we already wrote how much Jeff makes as a rate. We wrote that Jeff makes $7 per 1 hour. So I can just write that again down here. Oopsie daisies. I was trying to be all fancy and just copy paste this, and that didn't work very well. Did not work very well. Let's see here. Oh, we'll leave it down there. So Jeff makes $7 per hour. We know this because we found that, again, by looking in the first line of our table. If you're trying to find unit rate, you look in the first line of your table and you divide. So if we know that Jeff's rate is $7 per hour, Jeff's rate is $7 per hour. Remember that little slash means per. That slash means per. So then, what is his unit rate? What is his unit rate? Well, I know that my unit rate is just my rate minus the units. So that must mean that his unit rate is just plain 7. Not $7 an hour. His unit rate is just 7. So you would write his unit rate is 7. On the test on Monday, when you have a question just like this, you need to make sure that you are specifying what is the rate and what is the unit rate, because you will have a question that will ask how much or how often. It'll ask a rate question, and it'll say what is the rate and what is the unit rate. And you will have to be able to say what the rate is and put units down, and then write the unit rate and specify, just like we did here, that it is the unit rate. And you will write just the number. You will not include units. Please remember this. I want all of us to get full credit on that question. So again, if a question asks you to find the rate and then find the unit rate, all you do is what we did up here. You find the rate. You say Jeff's rate is $7 per hour. You include units when you're talking about your rate. You make sure you tell me that you're talking about rate. And then you say, and by the way, the unit rate is 7. And you just tell me what the number is in your rate, and you do not include your units. We'll go over this again before the test because it's really important that we know that difference. Please show me slant when you have part C down. If you still are not finished with part C, please raise your hand so that Miss Foster knows to pause the video. Part D, you guys are going to need to flip back and refer to your table. It says how many hours would Jeff have to work to earn $490? And then how many hours would Micah have to work to earn the same amount? So you are going to use your unit rate here. You are going to use your idea of unit rate to help you answer this. I'm going to first cue my problem. Looking for $490. So if I know that I can earn $7 in 1 hour, and I want to earn $490, I need to write equivalent ratios to help me figure this out. So I need to say, all right, I know I can earn $7 in 1 hour. And then I need to set that equal to more dollars over hours. I know the dollars I want to earn, so I can write that down. And I'm trying to figure out how many hours I need to work to earn that amount of dollars. So then I have to say, well, what do I need to multiply 7 by to get 490? And I honestly have no idea, which means I need to do some long division. I need to figure out what 490 divided by 7 is. 7 goes into 4, 0 times. 7 goes into 49 7 times. 7 times 7 is 49. Subtract and you get 0. Bring down your 0. 7 goes into 0 0 times. 7 times 0 is 0. Subtract and you get 0. Show me same if you got that answer. Excellent. So I know that I need to multiply 7 by 70 so that I can get 490. If I multiply my numerator by 70, what do I need to multiply my denominator by? Please show me on your hands. What do I need to multiply my denominator by if I multiply my numerator by 70? That's right, I need to multiply my denominator by 70. I need to multiply my denominator by 70 as well. 1 times 70 is 70, which means it would take both of them 70 hours to make $490. I know this because 7 times 70 is 490, and 1 times 70 is 70. I will type that for you and put it up there. So again, you would say, I'll answer this and then I'll put it back up there. You would say, it would take 70 hours. I know this because I would say 490 divided by 7 is 70. And 1 times 70 is 70. I'll go ahead and enlarge this font. And then I'll put this up closer. I don't want it to be like in the way of the work. Wonder if I could go like this. Yeah, there we go. So scholars, if you're answering in race format, this is what your answer should look like for part D. Again, if you're answering in race format, this is what your answer should look like. It would take 70 hours. I know this because 490 divided by 7 is 70, and 1 times 70 is 70. Part E asks, what is the ratio between how much Jeff makes per hour and how much Micah makes per hour? So we need to think about how much Jeff makes per hour. How much does Jeff make per hour? Flip back to question B, or part B. We know how much Jeff makes per hour. He makes $7 per hour, right? And on your test, when you have a multi-part problem like this, you need to make sure you are referencing your previous answers so that you're not doing double the work or triple the work. We already figured out how much Jeff makes per hour, so we don't need to figure it out again. We also figured out how much Micah makes per hour, so we don't need to do that again. We can simply flip back to part B and say, oh, Jeff's rate, Jeff makes $7 per hour. And Micah also makes $7 per hour. This is Jeff right here. This is Micah right here. $7 per hour, $7 per hour, which means that their ratio would be 7 to 7. 7 to 7, $7 per hour, colon, $7 per hour. The ratio of Jeff to Micah is 7 to 7. If you wanted to write this in simplest form, they do have a common factor. That common factor is 7. So this would simplify to a 1-to-1 ratio. So if you were answering this, you would say the ratio of Jeff to Micah's pay is 7 to 7 or 1-to-1. Please show me slant when your paper looks like the board. Please raise your hand if you are still copying this down so that Ms. Foster is able to pause the video. All right, scholars, keep persevering. We've got one more question before independent practice. Part F says that Mary works at a rate of $10 per hour. I'm going to go ahead and cube this problem. She works at a rate of $10 per 1 hour. Write a 1 or 2 sentence explanation of what this rate means, and then use this rate to find how long it takes Mary to earn $490. So first I'm actually going to answer this last part, and then I'll write my sentence. I know if Mary makes $10 per hour, she makes $10 per hour, I can write that as a rate, $10 per 1 hour, and set it equal to dollars over hours, because I want to know how many hours it takes her to make $490. So I'm going to ask myself, what do I have to multiply 10 by to get 490? Using the properties that I know about 10, I know that I just have to multiply 10 by 49 to get 490. If you did not know that, you could have done long division and said 490 divided by 10. 10 goes into 49 4 times. 10 times 4 is 40. Subtract and you get 9. Bring down your 0. 10 goes into 90 9 times. 10 times 9 is 90. Subtract and you get 0. But you do not have to do long division if you already know what the answer is to this problem. If I multiply my numerator by 49, I also have to multiply my denominator by 49 times 49, which means that it will take me 49 hours to make $490. So if you are answering this in race format, you would say this rate, because first we have to say, write a 1 or 2 sentence explanation of what this rate means. So you would say this rate means that for every hour that Mary works, she makes $10. She makes $10. That is a much better rate than the example that we had in class the other day. Much better rate. I'll make this font bigger in just a minute. Then I have to answer the second part of my question that says use this rate to find how long it takes for Mary to earn $490. So I would say it will take Mary 49 hours to make $490. I know this because 490 divided by 10 equals 49 divided by 10 equals 49. 1 times 49 equals 49. Scholars, please show me slant when your paper equals board. You guys are doing excellent. Way to keep persevering. So again, this rate means that for every hour that Mary works, she makes $10. It will take Mary 49 hours to make $490. I know this because 490 divided by 10 equals 49, and 1 times 49 equals 49. Scholars, pencils down, tracking the board. Going to give you 5 seconds to get your pencils down, tracking the board. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Scholars, in just a minute, Ms. Foster will release you for independent practice. Independent practice has more problems similar to the problems that we have been working on. They are all review problems. If you have questions about them, please go look at all of your packets, especially the packets that are Epic Proportions 14 and beyond. So Epic Proportions 14 through today's packet. So that should be 9 total packets that you have to look through that all have lots of information about unit rate and rate. So all of the packets that we have done since your mid-unit test will really help you with this review. So if you have questions, look in those packets. I will also make sure that Ms. Foster gives you a copy of the key before you leave. She will give the copy of the key to you at the end of class to help you with your independent practice. Please look through that key and make sure that you know how to do every single problem in that key. If you do not, go ahead and give me a call and I can talk you through them. We also will review them before the test on Monday. You guys have worked so hard. I am so proud of you. Keep up the good work. You've done a great job of studying for all of our tests. I want you to take a deep breath in. And now go ahead and exhale. There is no need to panic. This is just an opportunity to show all of the wonderful knowledge and all of the wonderful hard work that you've put in, to show it off to me. You guys are awesome. Have a wonderful weekend. You may begin independent practice.